and the changes, decision making, a very important life skill that each and every one of you is here, at least decision making as a life skill. The fourth is self-esteem, which was really dealt with here, scathingly. Thank you, teacher, for that wonderful presentation on self-esteem. Self-esteem. Then we have the last one is what we call the assertiveness. Assertiveness. A-S-S-E-R-T-I-V-E-N-E-S. Assertiveness. To be assertive. There are the 5 life skills that we want to look into, and then we'll call it a day. But remember, we must put them into practice and we must lead by example. Now, the first one is what we call, what did I say? The first one is? Let everybody read those. The first one is? Critical thinking. Don't lean on her. You are drawing 60% of her energy. The first one is critical thinking. The second one is? Creative thinking. The third? Decision making. The fourth? And the last one? Very good. Critical thinking. Critical thinking. What do we mean by critical thinking? Just as a term, according to you. When you are thinking, you don't know. Fact. Critical thinking, you don't know. It is not easy. See here. The critical thinking. This is ability to analyze and make value judgment about a situation. Critical thinking is ability to analyze and make value judgment about a situation. There are so many situations. We call them demands, some we call challenges, and as we live, each and even today we have a situation here. So for you to develop that ability to analyze, you know, to analyze. To analyze is to look at something at a given point, a given angle. You analyze. You analyze. Like you put analysis. Analysis questions of Yoga in science. We will take analysis questions. Hello, the science manka. And I know boy again your science madam. Analysis. If you are told to analyze, you cannot just state or just list. You analyze, and mostly it is found in science subjects where you need to analyze. No big Tokoro bounty mugimoro kata kochwake matin, tokoro gik kato muya moro na ekado. What has happened? You analyze. And that is what critical thinking calls for. It is an ability to analyze and make value judgment about a situation. We need it. It demands that we explore the possibilities of doing a task in more than one way. Abilities of doing a task in more than one way. A good person who has internalized and is putting in action the skill of critical thinking. You must analyze a situation. What does this thing demand? Suppose I do it this way. This is plan A. Should plan A fail? Which plan B can I apply so that I succeed? That is critical thinking. And for us as growing young Christians who are living in a day that we need to understand the times and the changes, and we look closely into our Christian lifestyle, we need really to look into ways of analyzing and categorizing things in where they belong. Now, it is expressing a personal independence judgment after evaluating or analyzing a situation. What we call, the term is independent judgment. Judgment that is independent, that is not influenced. Like the way we have said, we have so many objects around us that we lean on. But sometimes a critical thinking calls for independent judgment. You were created as a person, the me, the I, that we were told about self-esteem. I as a person, if I was created with God's image and likeness, and God himself gave me the responsibility. In fact, if you recall the responsibilities that God gave man at creation, immediately after the fall of man, I tell you, even before the fall of man, immediately after creation, when God was now doing the second creation, there is what we call first and second creation story. The second creation story where man is the center, naming animals, taking care of everything in the garden. In fact, what man was given response, and that tells us the power, the ability that we have. It is God's God-given ability. And we can make use of it. And we need each and everyone who is here. From here, before you do anything, you must go through what we call critical thinking. You analyze the situation. You act independently, what we call independent judgment. Even if you consult with a friend, it's not bad. Sometimes the wise people tell us that a problem shared is a half solved. So you can share your problem. But personally, individually as a person, when you are back, please put yourself together and have what we call independent judgment on an issue. Now, these, if we put them in place, they will help us, number one, to deal with challenging friends. In fact, I have a topic on friends, on friendship. Challenging friends. There are some friends who are very much challenging in this world, I tell you. They are not true friends. They are only friends because they tell you what your ear wants to hear and what your eye wants to see. But I tell you, they are not friends. We call them challenging friends. So for you, in life situation, you must know how to apply critical thinking so that you deal with situations like challenging friends, refusing to be discouraged by life challenges. You know, sometimes the life challenges that are very much discouraging can even a situation can arise in your life that can even discourage you from your Christian life. From the normal prayer that we offer to our Heavenly Father. Sometimes you even forget to pray. Sometimes you find yourself in a situation where you feel that you are a great sinner, that you have even no word to utter to God. But today I want us to fine-tune that if you put this critical thinking into practice, I tell you, you will know how to refuse to be discouraged by challenges that we meet in life. Challenges are sure to come, and this world is full of challenges, but life must continue. Let me do 10 minutes. Okay. So that is critical thinking. There is also in identifying your life goals and working hard to achieve them. So in a nutshell, I want to conclude critical thinking by saying this, that critical thinking is an important skill in shaping our thinking and expressing our independent judgment in all situations that we face. It is important skill because it helps in shaping our thinking. And I want you to make it a trial in your life. Anytime you meet a situation that is a bit worrying, please try to analyze. God has given you that ability by virtue of being a man. Don't worry. Have that independent judgment. Creative thinking is the second life skill. Creative thinking. Now, creative thinking is coming up with new ways of ideas of dealing with situations. Coming up with new ideas. The only difference between critical and creative is new ideas. I was very happy when some of us were giving the effects of COVID-19. And most of them were saying this, that because of the frustration, we are really advanced. Some of us have started projects like tree planting. Some have started keeping what? Poultry keeping. See, we said it. Did we say that somebody is practicing poultry keeping? Yes, those are new skills. And even more than that, some are even farming. Some are doing so many things. That is now creative thinking. This creative thinking it comes with new idea. And you know, in this generation that we have today, in fact, you are very fast in making steps, the way the teacher was saying. You are very fast in making, you can learn things very fast, more than during our time when we were youths like you. So we are called upon to come up with these new ideas. Even if you learn from the internet, like we say, the phone is very good, but sometimes it's bad. You can get the good things from the phone, even from outside Kenya, what others are doing, and you can put them in practice. By so doing, you are putting in practice what we call creative thinking. So people who use these skills are able to come up with new ideas and are inspired to express their original thought. You are the first person to come up with something that nobody has ever attempted. You can do it. Then we have decision making. Because of time, decision making. Now, in this area, female are very weak in making decisions. We know that even our boy child today really need a lot to be done so that they also grow and mature up. But our girl child, when it comes to decision making, sometimes we are not very constructive. And that's why we are here today to know that decision making as a life skill is a process of making up one's mind in order to reach a conclusion or a resolution. A conclusion. Are you still young, growing others like this? Before you act, you know, sometimes you have choices. Like, let me give you an example of Form 2 was conceived. You are in Form 2, you know very well it is second term, and you have conceived. You know, before you conceived, there were choices. You were to choose. Do I go for the pregnancy or not? Do I or not? You went. And now you are pregnant. Consequences have got no choices. Choices are there. You have free will. You can choose. But after choosing, there is a consequence. Consequence now I've got no. You must now catch the consequence. I tell you. That's why before you get answer, before you work out, think of answer first. Think of answer. Like before you go for pregnancy, you are dating, and you know very well you are only a Form 2, and you are dating a challenging friend who is opposite sex, and you are in Form 2, and you are dating, and the boy is telling you that I really love you. Come to my brother is working in Nairobi. I'm the one taking care of the lion. Just come. Oh my dear. Your mother will see me. No. I'm the one in charge of that lion. Come. Before you pass that, before you leave your compound going to attend to such a friend, can you think of the consequence before the action? Because there is always choices you can make. But once you choose to go, know very well that will carry the consequence. That's why the life skill of decision making is a process of making up one's mind in order to reach a conclusion. Please make up your mind. You are created in God's image. I'm repeating this. Don't say that me, I'm only young, me, I'm nervous, I have no self-esteem. No. By virtue of being born a man, which means male and female put together, I tell you, you can make that choice. You have that ability. If only that you didn't understand what the teacher was telling you about self-esteem. You tell him no, and it is no, that means no. But the moment you get into it, then you know, and you know very well, you know I tell you unwanted pregnancy. Me, I'm a mother who have carried pregnancy. It is not easy to be pregnant for 9 months. We call it small prison. 9 months prison, compulsory 9 months prison. And then, there you are married, at least you have the father of the child, who can even help you, even if you are vomiting, can tell you, Leo Kule Nini Mami. But this one here is 9 months prison and it is unwanted pregnancy. I tell you, before you make a choice, can you think of the consequences? And you're a child, you also have a child. Those two things don't match. They don't match. You create an unjust society. Unjust society. So decision making requires that you make up your mind. Make up your mind. And making choices among several options like go to school or stay at home. That is a choice you can make. Go out with a friend or go and read in the library. You can do this. Give in pressure to engage in sex or wait till marriage. That is a choice you can make. Afraid to keep. Like friendship. In fact, I'll squeeze and teach about choosing a friend. Friendship. We have challenging friends. So you have the right. And by being a man, I tell you, make that decision. And make it a good decision. Now, Adam and Eve chose to eat the fruit. You know they chose. And the consequences we are undergoing to date. The many labor we undergo, the many pain we suffer, the sweat for us to put even food on top of the table is a consequence of the choice that were made by our first parents. And even today, make your choice and you will carry the consequence. Now, life still requires courage and insight. Number 2, every decision made has its positive and negative consequences. Can you weigh the positive and the negative consequences of a choice you want to make before you get into choosing it? Then some have long-term social, emotional, psychological, and spiritual consequences. I tell you, there is nothing as bad as a consequence that is having long-term psychological or even emotional consequence. It eats you like a deadly disease. And at your age, remember, the book of Ecclesiastes wants you to be happy during your youth. This is the time you're supposed to be at the peak of your life. Enjoy life at this age. But if you make a decision that starts eating you at this age, when you reach my age, you will be finished, I tell you. And we want you to grow in whole, in totality, spiritually, emotionally, and even physically. We want you to grow up so that you'll be people, you'll be parents of tomorrow, and you keep on carrying the banner of Christ up high. So you must be careful in the choices that you make so that at least you remain a Christian and you may remain steadfast. Lastly, I want to say this, that take time and study a situation before making a decision. Please take time, don't rush. Don't rush when it comes to decision making. Take time, take a break, take even 2 days. And don't act when something has just happened. Please take time. Take time. There's something we call long-term and short-term memory. Sometimes the best decision was still in the long-term memory. It will take time to roll, and it will come to short-term memory. And it is the choice you make, and it will carry you through. So please, don't rush in making decisions. Take time and be yourself and pray God. Then you will make a right decision. We have self-esteem and not really well on it because the teacher talked about it. That it is an awareness of your individual attitude and values. Value yourself. You are the only you. There is no any other you in this world. You are the you. And you are you alone. You should be fair. You should be hard. You have a right to be who you are because God created you. And there are good plans for you. So feel that you are yourself. Walk, speak. If you do something, do it. I hate people who do things in a lukewarm way. Like you go to church, why sing? Why don't sing? Why do this? If you want to sing, sing. If you don't want to sing, whatever you are a student now, you are in high school, go to school and study. Don't go to school and start sleeping, majoring on so many things. Your mind is off school, you are at home, always daydreaming in class. What you have, do it. Because that is the time you have for it. If that time passes, there is nothing you cannot recall some time. Like now at my age, I can long to be a Form 2 student, even at my decimal body. I cannot go and sit on a locker that I'm a form 2. I cannot. It is gone with time. So this time you have, please do what you have before you be responsible and do it. You are a student, you are a class 8. This is the only time you are a candidate. Be in class 8. Don't think of Mama or Mama Nyumbani. Think of your candidature. I'm a candidate. I must pass exam. I must join a good high school. And that is it. But don't be a lukewarm in things you do. As a Christian, do what you do and do it better. That is self-esteem done. The last one is assertiveness. Assertiveness is a way of expressing one's feelings and desires openly. Knowing you are right, going for your right, and speaking your mind in an open atmosphere. You are assertive. I tell you, if you are assertive, you know assertive guys, we call them Ngamaleli gino kitugo oyuma. Ominya kumba kulbula enya bisiti moko kudwa. Ibe da assertive kata wuyi. Nini tinde ya wuyi be majiwi mnawindwa ama wana our big boys, I tell you, you are at least. Then, are you getting me, my son? Yeah. And then we want to switch on to boy child. Because we want you to tell those females that are living appearing with their life that it is a height and you don't want. No, stop it. And you have that. So when you are assertive, you know you are right. Speak it in the open. Don't hide. Nyakuma tio buoni mabo map marke ya matio ti mama matio. Kine no mama to bidwa ni ke kidogo ba ni koreni adongi no to kanya beto buko. Yes. Speak what your mind. Wanu siepto atwa ni modo wami ane tamu kwa magusipe. Kata ka wali ngono kani wacha ko this gathering. Never say ground rules. Kata mko wacha ni ya. Kundi kama rongi kata. Kapo kuchangu uwo ya kukungu wini wingu. Wada uwo na. Kiki chako tijari ukiki yakatanga mimi utoko bikia kumuthi yede kia uwa wacha rubuthi. So it is you and yourself. Before you do anything, baby not open. You want to patch. Yes. Yeah. And no, it is very normal to admire. Let me tell you by the way. Kata sexuality enya mude matino. At your age, muda ongene kiwejo class aboro matino maneno kana. There is that ubenu wacheka. Science to be spirituality. Science actually light poles attract what? Light poles. No, and light poles. Yeah. It is not bad. Even us, when we were young at your age, Bemumi ano katanga ginya pena manyaku katamagui. Kasi punjita we ye wet pin. Kena koni ni samedi no Dio tingini. You are a Christian, you must uphold the banner of Christ up high. Or you don't open your nyingi. Bokata drago. Nyiga manyoro kata sanya yani yawe kimungi kubaki. Anakuya. Nikestine gani kangato nigi ID mari. Mostly kise donation lighting outside take form for. Ngima nini mari. Or it is a form. Can I put in place this life skill what ngoni assertiveness? Am I assertive? Bawa chopa chama iye. Yes. Ngato approach iko nini ya mijuka interest kuni. Uwe ure interest my gono any interested ka yikuni. Speak it out. And speak it boldly. As a Christian you are humble and straight to the point. That is being assertive. You speak your mind. But if mambo ya kwenda hivi you are a lukewarm, I don't know what. Hey, you are attracted in me. So please be assertive, and this is the way of expressing one's feelings and desires openly. It's not bad to be attracted to someone. Tell the person I'm attracted. You are attracting me. Then this is the reason. Speak up as a Christian, and that's why we are teaching. We want to make a difference. We want the young Christians going in church to be different from those who don't get the opportunity to be taught the way we are teaching you now. That's why when we are speaking, we're not just speaking for the sake of it. But we want to see our young Christians who will be the church of tomorrow grow, and to grow to maturity when they are strong and they are vessels can be used. Okubedi jia mokuma yo madu makata okinyawo kamoro nungi beti ira kibode yuri chumbi sade sapa. Idi kwa chumbi ni yore yakenya tipo vichiro oti magochiro. Kidwa vichiro ko mama dwade. And this time my youth told me this. During corona, ni people would kata magen kata vichiro. Ini ko kona ni diregi ni nyo mena ni furugi nyanya ibuka. Because we want you to be responsible. And you have seen how it is. The moment you make a teacher, even you tell the Robert. They do the yacht, and I will touch it when I'm teaching you sexuality. Now, lastly, I want to say this. Assertiveness is all about knowing what you want and why you want it. Knowing what you want and why you want it. Knowing what you and why you want it. Don't just, you want, but you don't know why you want. You must know what you want and the reason you want it. That is being assertive. Then, it is also ability to take the necessary steps to achieve what you want. Take the necessary steps and achieve what you want. Like, it is my prayer that you be a young Christian here who is still taking education. And you see that I'm a candidate. If I don't stay home for this long, but when I go to school, I will get to my books. I will sit. I will have all my mind and entirely on my books because it is the future that I have here. It is my prayer that will be assertive, to know what you want, to at least everything that we need to know that what I want and the reason I want it. Now, assertive people have high level of self-confidence, self-worth, and that is what we want of us. We want you to have that self-worth and to have that self-confidence that will make you to go, to prosper, and to go and to attain and to acquire all the perfect 100% perfection that God created us for. In Jesus' name. Amen.